Hey, what's up? What's up? Joe in Vegas back with another review. This is an interesting one. This was very different for me. There wasn't much going on in Vegas this weekend again. It's been a little slow. Nothing. Listen, there's always shit going on in Vegas. So when I say it's slow, it means I have just a handful of choices instead of like 1,000 choices of what to go and what to see. So when I say that, and I do say that a lot, that it's a slow weekend, it just means there's limited choices, or there's 1,000 things going on that I've seen already a bunch of times. So I saw that this show was playing, and on the down low, I'm kind of on a secret mission to die knowing that I've seen 98% of artists out there. So this was called the Trilogy Tour, and it's really impressive. It is Ricky Martin, Enrique Iglesias, and Pitbull. All three of them on their own, without a doubt, are headliners. Big headliners. So I was shocked to see them on the same ticket. It really is impressive. I'm going to start with the ticket price because I think that's a big part of this review. I thought it was going to be a really expensive show. So there's nothing else really I wanted to see last night. So I said, let me go check out this show. I like all three artists. Never had anything against any of them. I think they're all super talented. A little cheesy maybe on the Ricky Martin, but you know what? It's fun. I'm a big fan of fun music, and he's a fun guy, and he's a likable guy, so why not? I checked the ticket prices, and I couldn't believe it. It was $100 plus fees for lower level, great seats at T-Mobile Arena. Bought them. Didn't even think twice. I have to tip my hat to whoever put this tour together, including the artists were probably part of it. In a world where ticket prices have gone crazy. I mean, crazy. Someone told me Bad Bunny's playing here. Again, I don't care to see him, but it's probably good for the reviews. And she was telling me that the upper level prices are like $500 for top level. You know, I know what I paid for Taylor. I know what I paid for Beyonce. Even regular acts that are just big headliners like these guys can normally ask for lower level seats between, $200, $300 a ticket. Usher's prices are crazy here in Vegas. Adele, $100 to get three major headlining artists. Good for you. That tells me this tour was designed for the fans by these artists and their teams, and good for them. I have my level of respect for these three guys went up like crazy. They got to split that three ways, so they're probably going to end up doing a lot of these shows to make it up. But you know what? From a fan standpoint, you are not going to get a better deal than what I got or what you're going to get going to see this show. It was very, very, very impressive. What I found equally impressive before I get into the acts, I'll try to make this a quick review, but essentially I'm doing three reviews in one. The fans, and the Latino music. Latino music has never been my I can't think of one time in my life where I was at work and be like, let me put on some, Enrique Iglesias or Pitbull or anything like that, or even more hardcore Latino music. It's not my thing. It's not that I dislike it. I found it actually impossible not to like. There's this tempo with the horns and the beat for Latino music that just gets you. It just gets under your skin, and it makes you happy, and it makes you in a good mood. I remember I was living up in New York, in Washington Heights, which is close to Spanish Harlem. And there was a little market there. I don't think you care about this story, but there's a point to it. There's a little market there called Pioneer that I used to go shopping in. And they used to have that music when you shopped. And I used to always remember I would shop like happy, and I would shop like a few notches faster and better and what's the word? Had a little giddy up. And that's what Latino music does to you. It gets you moving. It moves your body. It moves your soul. And it's, even though all these artists are different, there's this like undertone of the horns and the band and the tempo that really sells Latino music. Again, I don't have to sell you on Latino music, but these guys, they're not grandfathers of the music, but at this point, now that it's gone more towards, that Bad Bunny and I forgot that other guy's name, was really popular right now. It's become very popular, this rap kind of that it's got that tempo in it, but it's more of that dry rap. I don't care for it as much as these guys. These guys to me are more melodic, and these three guys on their own are each sensational artists. So that's my 2 seconds on. But what that tempo does to the crowd is awesome. So have I ever seen a Latino artist? I must have. But the vibe and the crowd, that music gets you going. The excitement, the level of like fan interaction, and seeing how much these guys love their fans, especially Enrique Iglesias was really in the crowd half the show. It's awesome, and it's infectious, and it's great. So I didn't know who was going to start. I didn't know how it worked. I think from what I read briefly before I did this, I think they switch off every night. So I got actually the best. I've seen Pitbull before. I've never seen Enrique. I've never seen Ricky. It started with Enrique Iglesias, which I was very surprised. I didn't realize how many songs I knew from this guy. And you start remembering how big he was back in the day. He was so big. I'm trying to think, God, what? I don't know if it was 90s or 2000s. It might have been late 90s. If I got that wrong, please correct me. So he came out first. Here's his set list. Started with Tonight I'm Loving You. I knew that one. Heartbeat. So here's what I noticed too. You know, again, I'm a dumb American. I'm a dumb, what do they call me? Gringo. You know, I just assumed these guys were like artists that were, you know, have Latino backgrounds, but were really appealing towards the American market. Half of his songs were all Spanish, and I could tell from the crowd that they wanted those hits more than they wanted the American hits. So he did Tonight I'm Loving You, Heartbeat. I'm going to mess up a lot of these names. Duele el Corazón. And then Balamos, which I actually love that song. I remember that song. I remember that video. That was a hot video. Great song. Great song. Cuando mi enamoro, loco mi pase. Man, you guys are going to make fun of me in the comments. Subeme la radio, Escape. That was a big one. They did a couple seconds of Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. I Like It, massive song. Hero, massive song. El Perdón and Belando. I loved it. I always say in my reviews, I could tell how much I love a show when I'm not sitting around looking at the set list waiting for the next hit to come. I didn't know most of these songs, especially the ones in Spanish, and I couldn't relate to them because I didn't understand the lyrics, and I loved them. I loved every beat of it. I loved every move to it. He is an incredible performer. He jumped into the crowd a lot. He was there for the fans. I think one fan even ran on stage, and I thought it was part of the act. She held him and hugged him. He hugged her back, and they didn't let go the whole song. And when he was done, he's like, hey, yo, security, like, what the fuck? Where the hell were you guys? So, big fan of this guy. I'm trying to think how to rate this. I guess I'll rate this per artist, and then I'll do an overall rating for the show. For Enrique, I would give him a 9.4 out of 10. I thought it was great. I would run back to see him anytime. His music is great. He looks great. He looks the same, honestly. He looks the fucking same. Just the overall vibe of getting the crowd going and hearing good quality music, he won me over. Big fan of Enrique. Next came Ricky Martin. So I was really happy. I've seen Pitbull a few times, so he was the guy I was least there to see. And again, we'll get into Pitbull stuff. But Ricky, I've never seen. As everybody knows, my memories of Ricky Martin was he did Cup of Life at the Grammys. I remember watching the Grammys, and he came out, I don't know what year it is, somewhere in the 90s, I'm guessing. He came out and did Cup of Life, and just by the next morning, he was a superstar. I think by then he was already big in other countries, but here came out this good-looking guy who can dance, who can sing, who has a smile, who looks at the camera and winks and can just win over a population. And that's what he did. And then he followed up with, you know, the Living La Vida Loca and She Bangs. Let me get into his set list. Just like Enrique, I thought Ricky Martin, I knew he had a career in the Spanish markets. I just didn't know how big he was in there. I just assumed he got big from these American songs that his American hits, to be honest, I thought were a little cheesy when I heard them on the radio, but you couldn't unhear them. They're just songs that stay in your freaking head, and they're catchy. Now, what I realized last night about his set was I thought his Spanish-speaking stuff that I never heard before, didn't understand what he was saying, were better songs than the She Bangs and Shake Your Bon Bon. I thought that was cheesy shit. It almost felt like he did those songs for his record company or did what he had to do to get famous so that he can continue doing his Spanish stuff, which honestly was unbelievable. I thought Ricky was great. Okay, again, don't make fun of me. I'm going to try to pronounce some of these Spanish songs. First song was Pegate. Second song, Maria. Then Adrenalina. And then Shake Your Bon Bon, which again, I thought compared to those other songs he was singing, I thought that song sucked, and I knew that song. Lola Lola, She Bangs, also it's like cheesy compared to his Spanish stuff was so soulful. And let me tell you something about this fucking guy. I don't know how old he is. He's got to be 50, 51. He was moving. He looked great. The guy's a good-looking guy. I don't care how heterosexual you are. He's a very good-looking human being. But he can dance and he can move and he does the whole thing with a big smile on his face. You could take any picture of that guy and it just looks good. And it's a pleasure to watch. He did She Bangs and he did Tu Recuerdo. and then vuelve, and then por arriba, por abajo, and then vente pa acá. Can't wait for the comments. And then he closed out with the two big ones, Livin' La Vida Loca, which is a good song. That one's not as cheesy as like She Bangs. And Cup of Life, which is a big song with horns and life. I don't know if that was for the World Cup. It might have been. Man, I was blown away by Ricky. He had one part where he came out in this trench coat. It was very artistic. It was very... Man, I it's not what I expected. I thought it would be cheesy, fun, kind of, who cares? Let's get drunk and you know, listen to She Bangs and it'll be funny. Nope. He completely turned me. He is a really... all three of these guys, I walked out last night thinking, these guys are super talented guys. That was the biggest thing I realized. Second thing I realized is their Spanish music, I think, is better than their American music. It's just better. It's just better sounding music. It just sounds like better written songs and better this. But, you know us Americans, we like our fucking junk food. So, okay, back to... So that's Ricky Martin. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give him a 9.4 also. I really, really, really enjoyed him as a performer. I enjoyed his music, so on and so forth. Last came Pitbull. I've seen Pitbull again. Speaking of junk food, Pitbull's junk food. Pitbull has a form. It's, you know, when you hear him on the radio, you don't piece it together. But when you see him live, you start to realize there's a very obvious formula for Pitbull. The guy is a very polished guy. He dresses great. He says the right things. He's a very upbeat, energetic guy. It's clearly a character that he made for himself, which is a very good character. And I tip my hat to him. I tip my hat to him for everything he's done. But every one of his songs was either taking an old song and giving it like a new beat, and then, you know, it's like he sprinkles his little Pitbull magic dust on everything. So he'll find an older song like an Aha, Take On Me, or one of those songs, and then in most cases he'll bring in a very famous person to sing on it, like Chris Brown or Christina Aguilera or Kesha or any of those. And he'll just like, it's like a stew. It's like one part other big celebrity, one part older song that everybody loves, one song basic generic, you know, reggaeton kind of beat, and then I'll do my little Pitbull kind of dirty raspy rap to it, and I know how to fucking mix it all together, and I'm gonna have this perfect 3-minute radio banger, a song that it can go in any club at any time, and you would be, if you're drunk at a club and a Pitbull song comes on, and they're good songs, they're not bad songs, you will be happy. If you want to dance, he had that crowd in the palm of his hand. The whole stadium was bouncing for every song. And every song he had was a hit. And every song is very good. It's just when you stitch them together, you see very clearly that they're all the same. Let me get into them, and you'll see every single song's a hit. Don't Stop the Party, Hey Baby, Drop It to the Floor, Hotel Room Service, and that's another one. And, you know, Hotel, Motel, Holiday, all these songs, he takes little bits and pieces of pop culture and he just stitches it all together in a very good way. International Love, Rain Over Me, Gasolina, On the Floor, Shake Senora, Culo, I Know You Want Me, Cala Ocho, Jumpin', Timber, Time of Our Lives, Fireball, and Give Me Everything. What a set list. Well, it's great. I mean, it's like junk food. It's really like, I don't want to take away from anything he does because he does a really good job at it. And I don't know anybody that does as good of a job as him doing this. And he's got his niche and he's got who he is and he owns it and he keeps going with it and it works. It's very entertaining. Maybe I was a little tired. So no, I think I was a little tired. I just think the whole thing was a long show. You know, it started at, first act came on, I think at 7:30 and the whole thing ended at 11 something. So good 4 hours. I mean, you are getting a massive bang for your buck with this show. I would tell you everybody should run to see this show. Even if it's not your style of music, it's a really affordable, great night out, no matter what city you're in. Pitbull, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give him an 8.9 probably. Just there. Just maybe because I've seen him before. I like it. Don't get me wrong. 8.9 is a good score. I just felt like after Enrique and Ricky, who had some really soulful moments, Pitbull was just different. Just a little different. Nothing negative. Overall for the show, it's getting a little long. A scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it probably a 9.25. I think that's about right. Go see this show. It's such a great deal for your money. I know I keep saying it, but that's how I felt. You will walk out of there happy. You will walk out of there energized. You will walk out of there with a little extra beat in your step. and you'll have these little songs and those horns in your head for the next couple days. And I actually think this will make me go listen to a little bit of Enrique and Ricky. I don't know about Pitbull, but you don't have to because Pitbull songs are everywhere anyway. Thanks for listening. I know this is long. I think I got everything. It's a lot to unpack. I tried to take notes during the show so I can remember to say things, but that never works out. If you were at this show, if you saw it, or any of these independent artists on their own, leave some comments. Let me know what you think. Subscribe. I appreciate you listening. I really do, especially if you made it all the way here to the freaking end of it. Thanks for listening, and I will see you at the next show. Bye-bye.